Hello everyone, Pineapple here with the next episode of the Amazing Digital Circus, and the first of our Halloween reviews. Maybe I should workshop a name. Pineapple Halloween. I mean, the next show we'll be doing is Wednesday, so I could call that Wednesdays, because that's when I post my videos. But this doesn't really fit into that bracket. But for today, it's episode 3, The Mystery of Mildenhall Manor. We've had 2 solid episodes, The Pilot and Candy Carrier Chaos. Good, each with their own strengths, but none throwing me from my seat in shock, both coming in at a good 6.5 out of 10. So this time I'm hoping for something standout. This is also a landmark episode, as it's the first to be simulcasted on YouTube and Netflix, which made a deal to stream the show on their platform, a pretty massive deal in the grand scheme. No shade to Glitch, I love those Australian Asian boys, but it's a pretty big jump. And to continue the common cultural comparisons to Vivzy Pop,
my name is Kane, I am your bitch.
This show made the jump faster than Hazbin Hotel, and yes, that is due to Hazbin not being animated along with its pilot, but it's still impressive. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. We start, and for some reason it's in a language I don't understand. Fuck! I downloaded it for editing convenience and it was somehow in the wrong language. Thank you, YouTube. Let's try that again. So the episode starts with Pomni testing what happens when she holds her breath. Apparently, everyone still has to breathe for some reason, and something weird happens to each person when they do it. Pomni changing colour, Kinga glowing, and although he makes a good joke, we don't learn what Jax does.
Ragatha's hair noodles stick up, Gangle's mask starts spinning, and Zubul turns straight.
My limbs straighten up and fuck off.
Jax does a lazy fourth wall break and Kane comes in as coke-fueled as ever to explain today's adventure, the titular mystery of Mildenhall Manor, with a good Luigi's Mansion style. Seriously, with how vibrant and fluorescent the past 2 episodes' colour palettes have been, it's nice to get a more drastic variation. Kane gets some more nice visual gags with Bubble, and once again shoves everyone except Zubul into the portal. Jax once again tries to fuck with Pomni and Gangle, and Pomni gets a nice gore gag, as her eyes fly out of her head. Jax Luigi's Mansion's a friendly ghost, and when presented with 2 doors, one scary and one barely so, he tosses Gangle's happy mask down the worst one. Pomni forced to follow as Kinga tries to fetch it for the mask and ribbon girl, only to get tangled in Pomni's eyes. And here I thought Jax might be more likeable than last episode.
Wrong.
Meanwhile, back at the circus, something this episode does really well, that the other 2 failed in, is exploring the characters always left behind. Kane and Zubul actually getting a fair amount of B-plot, instead of occasional one-line jokes. Kane wants to know why Zubul is always staying out of things, turning into an impromptu therapy session, as he's already been told before, but has forgotten his mind like a sieve. Zubul is reluctant as Kane can barely hold his own focus, so we go back to Kinga and Pomni in the scary route, finding mangled heads of those in the circus, and a tape recorder holding the logs of a hunter that killed and mounted the creature's heads in defense of his family. Very reminiscent of 2010-era horror games.
You know, I'm starting to think...
With some good performance and animation, these 2 try to get through some locked doors, finding another creepy audio log as the hunter claims the creature can't be killed by multiple shots to its vitals, merely disappearing once he looked away. While they may be cliché, the audio logs of The House Owner by Tim Alexander work really well in the dark atmosphere of the house. It warns them not to let the mounted head of the creature out of their sight. And as Kinga points out, it's really stupid to put that warning in the room far away from the head. Just as Pomni finds the exit key, the lights go out. Kinga and Pomni reduced to eyes in the darkness, being pretty creatively animated. Their eyes feeling very 2D hand-drawn, and both performers getting some great laughs as they make their way to the trophy room, the creature then coming for them. It's pretty creepy, well animated and lit, but as Pomni tries to unlock the dumbwaiter, Kinga is hypnotized by the creature's deadlights. It style.
Well, the kids, they get lost on their way out of the sewers, so they, take turns having sex with Beverly. What are you talking about?
Which, I don't know, feels unnecessary. It happens for 5 seconds and then is never brought up again. It could be put there as a hint to Kinga's soon-to-be-revealed backstory, but even in that respect is, once again, really unnecessary. The therapy session with Zubul and Kane starts becoming therapy for him, but we do get more insight into Zubul as she fails to come to terms with her body. Kane offering her a box of spare parts, but she can't find bits that fit with her. Zubul tells the truth about the adventures.
Nobody likes your stupid adventures.
Good one, Zubul.
Which causes Kane and the circus to go through an existential crisis, breaking down with good effects and sound design, but Kane immediately bouncing back to his antics. Sure, I'd like a little more from these two, but they feel infinitely more fleshed out than in the past 2 episodes. Pomni and Kinga fall into the cellar, finding the speaker's body with a final tape. He killed his wife, thinking she was the monster. A nice dark reflection of Kinga's soon-to-be backstory, and they take the dead man's gun for support.
Please don't come alive.
Okay, I won't.
Kinga is strangely calm, ready to shoot whatever comes their way, confronted with the monster's head on one side and what is presumably its headless body on the other. The scene suitably tense as Kinga lays the monster out. But then the tape recorder starts up again randomly, and it turns out the monster was an angel, and any who harm it will be dragged to hell, where the dead man will attempt to steal their bodies. Okay. I feel like any sort of criticism I could make about that was already made in the episode, but I feel like the episode acknowledging those criticisms doesn't really justify it being here. Sure, it's nice comedically, but I'm sure a better joke could have been put in its place, or the whole pacing of it could have been reworked. Meanwhile, Ragatha and Gangle are having tea with the dead wife, while Jax is tied and gagged. Exactly how I prefer his annoying ass in this show. Unable to cock anything up further, as the women have a nice, pleasant conversation. Eventually winning the challenge, but having to wait for the others to finish before leaving. Pomni is freaking out, Kinga being the voice of reason, and they attempt to escape cleverly. Pomni unfortunately immediately possessed as she breathes, with some nice expressive animation, but Kinga eventually frees her from the possession. And as she freaks out again, Kinga tries to get her to look on the bright side. This side to Kinga being really nice to see, apologising for accidentally dragging her down here. We get the explanation of King's backstory, his usual sitting in his pillow fort explained, as the darkness helps quell his mind, explaining why he's been less insane this episode, the darkness keeping him stable. And we flash back to a really well done and emotional scene. As much like him, his wife, who abstracted, was calm enough to be with him in darkness, not destructive anymore like Korthmo was. This happening right before she was sent to the other abstracted. This is probably the deepest we've explored a main cast member, and I hope we get some more stuff like that later on. The genuine moments in these insane characters feeling like the logical evolution of the calm existential scenes last episode with the NPCs. Kinga gets some more great lines.
Good memories can do a lot. Hold on to them. And cherish the people around you. You never know when they'll be gone.
And as hinted at before, they find their escape by holding their breath, paying off the beginning of the episode, together with a nice score accompanying them. Meeting up with the rest of the crew, Kinga now back to his old weird self. Pomni finally gets to say thanks to Ragatha, her simping not being appreciated before now, and Kinga getting a good reaction as Gangle asks for the mask that they followed in the first place, having completely forgotten about it. It seems like Kane and Zubul might be making genuine progress, but the insane controller flees to the incoming adventurers with a really strange greeting.
Welcome back, my meowing milkmaids.
Don't ever call us that again.
One that is infinitely weirder in other languages.
No i jak tam, moje skibidi sigmy?
Jax, what's a skibbity pommy?
The episode ends with Pomni resisting Jax's jabbing, and reflecting on her time with Kinga fondly. A really nice ending considering how melancholy the last two were. So, that was the latest episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. And I think I liked it more than the last two. Sure, the theme may have been less interesting, the NPCs and layout of the mansion not as defined as episode 2, but this felt like a good integration of the first two episodes. It got the heartfelt exploration of the cast that both those episodes did in different ways, such as Pomni and Kinga's great emotional moments, and actually giving Zubul and Kane something to do, instead of just disappearing them off for most of the episode. The vibes were appreciated, even if I thought the Candy World last time was more interesting. The design design and theme this time around a larger difference than the bright, colourful attitude of both the circus and the Candyland. And Jax was mostly mute for this episode, Gangle barely being abused, so I was happy on that character front. While the exploration of the main cast was good, I was a little disappointed in the NPCs this time. The wife was funny and the creature was scary, but the hunter was kinda boring, his tapes being sufficiently creepy for what they are, but after this episode's emotional moments were hyped up for me, the scenes that didn't have Pomni and Kinga interacting, and just getting the exposition from the tapes, felt like a bit of a slog. But I feel that the main character moments more than made up for it. So I feel a little better in putting this episode above, but not very far above, the last two episodes with a 7 out of 10. It has its faults, but it genuinely tries to do something emotional with the main characters other than Pomni. Even if, at least with the Kinga, it uses her as an audience surrogate in a sense. And while the wraparound isn't stellar, it isn't too bad either. So 7 feels like the right place. Thank you everybody so much for watching my first spooky Halloween review of episode 3 of the Amazing Digital Circus. For the next 2 weeks of the spooky month, we'll be looking at season 1 of Wednesday. So please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, and subscribe to the channel, and if you do, ring that notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.